Thank you. Senator Cotton.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Secretary. It's good to see you again. I want to speak about property assessed clean energy loans. We discussed this last year. In June 2016, the Department of Housing and Urban Development decided the Federal Housing Administration would change its mortgage policy to start insuring mortgages that had a PACE lien. For those not familiar with it, PACE loans or PACE liens are collected through local taxing authorities. They didn't go through any kind of underwriting, and they had super priority over mortgages. So that meant, in default, the lender who had installed, say, solar panels or new windows or something would get paid back before the mortgagor or before the taxpayer if that mortgage is insured by FHA. There were horrible cases, instances of elderly widows being scammed down to $50,000 on loan shark level interest rates. And we first discussed that back in April of 2017. I want to show you a flyer that we recently came to see. I think it goes to show that these loans are placed in priority, no money down, and clearly demonstrates, if you just look at some of the language on this flyer, that they're being marketed towards people who have bad credit or who have no credit, and designed to scam out homeowners and ultimately the people from whom they borrow money, or in your case, the taxpayer who insures their mortgages. I mean, look at this. Have bad credit? No problem. What qualifies is your property. These loans average $25,000, which means the taxpayer could be on hook under the 2016 policy for up to $25,000. And I'd asked you to look at it and put out some new guidance, and I want to thank you for your decision in December. On December 5th, you announced that the FHA would no longer issue new mortgages on properties that included these kind of PACE loans. I just want to read briefly from the statement you issued at the time because I found it very compelling. FHA can no longer tolerate putting taxpayers at risk by allowing obligations like these to be placed ahead of the mortgage itself in the event of default. Assessments such as these are potentially dangerous for our mutual mortgage insurance fund and may have serious consequences on a consumer's ability to repay or when they attempt to refinance their mortgage and sell their home. Thank you again for that decision, Mr. Secretary. I want to point out to you, though, that the Senate recently passed the Economic Growth, Regulatory Reform, and Consumer Protection Act, which included language from my bill that would subject these scam loans to the Truth in Lending Act. In your opinion, does that represent a positive step forward for these consumers and the taxpayer?
That is a huge step forward, and I just want to thank you for taking the lead on this, because it was really you who brought this to my attention in the first place, and we did act upon it. And I do appreciate the fact that there is recognition that we actually do some good things.
Thank you. And I hope the House passes it and the President can sign it into law in short order, so when vulnerable consumers are targeted by these scam loans, they will at least know the true terms that they're facing for the loans. However, even if that does pass into law and the Truth in Lending Act applies to these PACE loans, they would still have priority over mortgages. So I assume that even if that provision passes into law, you will continue with your December 2017 decision that the FHA will not insure loans that have a PACE lien on them.
Without question.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.